Morning everybody, welcome back to VeggiePlot. So a quick cup of tea. The big question for this video is, was it worth it? Was it worth it both mentally, physically, but also financially? And so towards the end of the video, we'll have a look through the record books, which I've been filling out throughout the year. And I'll show you how I've used them, and I'll show you how much money I've spent, which runs into a lot, hundreds of pounds, on the allotment of vegetables, seeds, equipment, compost, all that sort of thing, plants. Hundreds of pounds. But then also the amount of money I've saved, and you'll be surprised, I do come out in profit quite heavily, quite substantially. So stick around to the end and I'll show you how that all works. But I want to talk about a few things. This video really is sort of, did you have a nice Christmas? And Happy New Year if we're in January if you watch this. But look what I got for Christmas. I got a new watering can. All mine are sort of falling to bits. I think they lose more water than they hold. So I got a nice new watering can, which was much appreciated. Oh, and a hat. My daughter made me a lovely new hat to keep my head warm. So this video really is sort of aimed at people, any of you who are thinking of getting an allotment because you're really excited about growing your own food, just to see whether it's worth it, both perhaps, as I say, physically, spiritually, mentally and financially. And another one, perhaps group of people who might be interested are those who have an allotment, but actually it was quite a struggle last year and we're in winter and you're perhaps thinking, should I go back to it? Is it worth it? Is it something I want to carry on with? And I enjoyed it, but did I spend too much money, etc., etc. So it's aimed at both those people. So we're going to be looking at gardening as a hobby, connection to nature, stress relief and physical activity, fresh and healthy food, food scarcity, self-sufficiency and sustainability, community and sharing, that's another one, preserving traditions, the educational value that it provides, and then finally, obviously, the cost savings. So if you're interested in any of that, stick around for the whole of the video. Right, let's get started. Have a look at gardening as a hobby. Right, as hobbies go, gardening is a really good way to get outside and get involved in nature and get a sense of well-being. It enables you to move your body, exercise, stretch, lift, bend, dig if you're into digging. And so it's really good sort of movement. And I often have this sort of conversation with my wife who does yoga, that I often reckon that having an allotment is as good as doing yoga, if not better, but I'm biased. So basically, there's this sort of physical aspect to it, which is really good for you. Mentally, you invest a lot of time in thought and sort of going out and purchasing seeds, sowing seeds, growing food, collecting that food, harvesting it, and then preparing food, providing for your family. So mentally there's an awful lot of well-being that comes from those processes. So I can wholeheartedly recommend getting an allotment or carrying on with your allotment if you've been struggling and thinking about giving up. Stick with it, it's well worth it. It's got lots and lots of benefits. As human beings, we are, and even though we don't think about it, whether we're living in a city or a town and we stay indoors an awful lot of time, we are actually part of nature and we're connected to nature. And throughout the sort of hundreds of thousands of years of human development, we've generally always been outside, whether we've been tending crops or hunting for food or gathering food from the forests. We've been outside, and so it's in our nature to be outside. And there's a lot of good reasons why we should continue with that, and why having an allotment helps with that is that, whether you're listening to the birds or you're hearing the wind in the trees or you're digging around in the soil, they all can release chemicals in our brains which just relax us and give us a sense of harmony and tranquility and help us re-engage with who we actually are and as a species what we actually are. So having an allotment, keeping your allotment is really important, both for you mentally, physically, but also spiritually. Another really good reason to get or keep your allotment is stress relief and physical activity. Now, it's been proven many times, and even actually our doctor's surgery is going to have a plot on our allotment near the entrance, which basically is for people who are suffering from stress and anxiety. And the whole idea is that rather than people be given sort of drugs, which obviously you probably need or might need, but getting outside and doing something physical and mindful enables you to really focus sort of on yourself and on the things that you're doing. And so it can be really good at relieving depression and anxiety. It's been proven. It also promotes sort of mindfulness, because quite often in our daily lives we're always thinking about, got to pick up the kids, got to make dinner, got to get to work, got to get that job done, got to phone that client, got to do that email. We're always thinking about other things and our brains are just buzzing all the time. And I know this, I run my own business, it can be crazy, but as soon as I get on the allotment, as soon as I get in the garden, all that just seems to disappear and I'm sort of just focused on the moment. And so this is another really good reason for getting an allotment or growing your own food, is that when you pour the seeds out of the seed packet, you're putting them in the compost and you're watching the little seedlings grow, and then you're outside listening to the birds and the wind, you're planting the stuff in the ground. It can just provide a huge amount of focus, which brings down your stress levels and just helps with self-esteem and all sorts of things. So it's well worth having a garden or keeping your allotment to bring down your stress levels and help you focus on you and you know, because you're the most important thing, and enabling you to grow in yourself so that you're better to deal with all the other things that are bombarding you throughout your daily lives. Now, obviously, another really good reason of having an allotment is the fact that you have control over the food that you grow. And obviously that food, depending on how you choose to grow it, can be both healthier and tastier than anything you will ever get in a shop. I mean, it's like when you go to a supermarket and you buy your tomatoes or pears or whatever, those things have been hanging around for ages. But if you grow your own food, you go to your allotment or your garden, you pick your black currants, you pick your red currants, you dig your potatoes, you know, you lift your carrots, and then you take them in, you wash them, and you prepare them, and they're just ready within an hour usually. And so there is nothing that you can beat that quality of and tastes that you get from that food. You just can't get that from the shops, even from a farmer's market. You know, if you grow your own food, you have all these wonderful, healthy, alternative food crops that you can grow. Apart from that, you've also got the diversity. You know, you can't go into a supermarket and buy a Brad's Atomic Grape or a Sunrise Jazz or an Amethyst Jewel tomato. They just don't exist. And because all the tomatoes, you know, they're grown for shelf life and they're grown for size and shape for packaging. And so you don't get these alternative, really tasty foods. So not only, you know, harvesting your own food, it's super fresh as soon as, you know, whether that's just a carrot or a potato, but you don't get these wonderful choices. And so growing your own food in your own allotment or garden is really liberating, and you'll just be amazed at what you can grow. So I wholeheartedly recommend, again, if you are thinking of getting an allotment or you're having trouble with your allotment, hang on to it and try something different this year. Grow something different. Try breaking out. There's a whole range of things out there we can grow. So yeah, hang on to your allotment for those reasons. Food security, self-sufficiency and sustainability is massive, obviously, and we could talk for ages about it, but I just want to touch on a few things. You know, what with the cost of living sort of crisis that we're going through at the moment, with food bills and, you know, heating costs, etc. It's all enormous, isn't it? So anything I can do to sort of help mitigate that and save us some money is a good thing. And then obviously there's none of this packaging nonsense that you get. I mean, you go into some of the supermarkets, don't you, and everything is coated in plastic. Most of it isn't there when you grow your own food. You know, you go out, you pick a cucumber and there's no packaging on it, there's no plastic wrap on it. Or you go and you pick carrots, you know, from a tub or your allotment. I've got some growing here. They just pull them out of the ground. They're not in a plastic bag, you know. So there's a lot of benefits to growing your own food in relation to the planet and sort of sustainability and so on. Growing your own food and having your allotment, keeping your allotment is both good for you and good for the planet. Now, another great thing about having an allotment or a garden in a public space or being part of a community garden is obviously community, that brings for both you and other people, and also sharing your time, your knowledge, your experience and your produce. So, you know, growing your own in a community space, whether it's hundreds of allotments or 5 or 6 allotments like we've got here, it can be really good because you get to meet, you get to chat, you get to share knowledge, you get to share experiences, as I've said. And also when you've grown too many courgettes, if your neighbour hasn't grown courgettes, you can offload some onto them. But then there's growing and making, growing fruit and making jams, and growing produce and making chutneys, and all those sorts of things, you know, which you can give at Christmas, or you give at presents, and you give to your neighbours, as I've said. So there's a whole raft of things which, you know, having an allotment or holding on to your allotment is good for. And that is community and sharing. That is both good for you, good for your neighbours, your family, friends, and the community that you live in. So the next one on the list is preserving traditions. Now, obviously, that's not just about preserving things that your families have done, but it's also things that your families may have grown, or ways they have done things. I mean, I think a lot of my gardening or love of gardening comes down to my mum, and the fact that I used to spend a lot of time outside in the garden, and she'd be out there pottering about, and both my parents, you know, they had an allotment for a while, not for long I don't think, but yeah, they had an allotment for a while. And yeah, so there's sort of that sort of historical, traditional thing, that sense of well-being you get from knowing that you're sort of doing things how your parents did, or doing things how your grandparents did. There's also the sharing of knowledge, isn't there? But also in relation to preserving foods and things. My dad always made jams, my mum always made jams, and my dad makes jams and marmalades, and so I've learnt that, and so I make those things now. And so that this produces a whole sense of good feelings, and gives me this sort of knowledge bank, which I sort of try and share with my family and my children. I don't know if they've hooked onto it yet, but I have this sort of sneaky feeling that later in life they'll come to gardening and so on, and they'll go, oh, this is what Dad was all on about. Yeah, hopefully so anyway. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons to grow food, have your allotment, keep your allotment, is basically the traditions that you may not even realise that you've hung on to, or that you're passing on to your loved ones or your family or other people that you meet. Right, we're nearly at the end now. This one is educational value, and obviously when you have an allotment or a garden, whether you're new to it or whether you've been an experienced gardener, you've been at it for years, it's always something new to learn, isn't there? There's always something that you think, oh, I didn't know that, oh, I could do it that way, or oh, I didn't know you did it like that. Whether that comes to cuttings or sowing or harvesting or preserving, you know, or building structures, a thing like this polytunnel, for example. I'm always learning, so there's always something new. And what I like about that is that, you know, I can then share that, whether it's on the website or whether it's on YouTube, or I can share it with other people, can share it with family, that sort of thing. So having an allotment, you know, it gives you an awful lot. You're learning about plant anatomy, you're learning about pollination, you're learning about pests and diseases, you're learning about how to make and build things. So it just engages the mind and keeps you occupied. So I really recommend, yeah, get an allotment, or hang on to your allotment. There's so many things you benefit from it that you perhaps don't even realise. Okay, this is the final bit of the video which I'm most excited to tell you about, really, and I hope you've hung on to watch. Well done if you've watched this long. Yeah, the record book. Now, I use 2 record books. I've basically, because I've got a polytunnel greenhouse, 2 allotments, I kind of need a bit more space, but I don't think most people need 2. I think 1 is perfectly fine, and there's lots of things within it which, if you have a look on the site, you'll see what's inside. But what I wanted to just talk to you about and show you was the harvest calculator and the cost calculator, and then the final figures. So in the harvest calculator, you basically, as you go throughout the year and you harvest some fruit or veg, you basically just make a note of it and how much weight wise, or how many you harvested. So if it's leeks, you might say it's 5, if it's potatoes, 1 kilogram, or fruit, 1/2 kilogram, you know, that sort of thing. So basically throughout the year I've listed everything: potatoes, carrots, parsnips, leeks, kale, spinach, celeriac, red cabbage, purple artichokes, everything that I've grown throughout the year. And then I've just gone to the supermarket websites like Morrison's, Tesco's, Waitrose, and looked at how much they charge for the product that I've got. You just put it in the search, it gives you the amount. And so then I total those up at the end, bottom of the columns, and then at the end I just total them all up. Now, I'm not going to show you that just yet. I want to talk about this now. It's cost calculator. So on the cost calculator page, it enables me to put in everything that I've spent on my hobby, throughout the year. So it's everything from compost, seeds, cable ties, gravel trays, propagator lids, manure, labels, and also things like the vines and the fig plants, which I obviously won't buy next year, which were quite an investment. And so that amount of money, the amount of money I spent on my hobby last year, came to a whopping, although it might not be enormous for you, but for me, £506.93. That seems quite a lot of money, doesn't it? But then what I do is I go to the harvest calculator section, total it all up, and then take one away from the other. And the harvest calculator section last year, from not going to the shops and buying certain products, I saved £1,490.07, which is quite good, isn't it? Quite pleased with that. So then you take one away from the other, you take 506 from the 1490, you end up with £983.14 in savings. Now, I don't count my time in that. Obviously, it's a hobby, so it doesn't matter. So I actually saved, much not buying food and things in the supermarkets last year, nearly £1,000. And then there are other things to think about, other savings. So these dahlia tubers, I don't leave them in the ground, I lift them, so I don't have to buy them every year. So I add that as a saving. And another thing is I grow heirloom tomatoes, so I save the seeds, the ones I like, and I'm going to regrow them next year, and so I don't have to buy lots more tomato seeds. So if you add those savings, the cost of those savings will be £282.59. So if you add that to the 983, you end up with £1,265.73, which is quite amazing, isn't it? I was just blown away by that. But then there are other things, actually, nearly forgot to say, there are other costs which I can't quantify and which also mean you save money. Because say you grow apples, Bramleys or something for cooking, and you make apple sauce. So you don't go to the supermarket, you don't spend the cost of money of getting there, you don't spend the money of buying the product like apple sauce, because you just pick the apples, you go home, you cook them up, they're done. And so there are lots of savings there as well. So from that £1,265.73, there's probably more money on top of that I saved by having this hobby. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you found that useful. Okay, hope you have a great new year too. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.